Doo-doo-doo! Squeak.
The power box looked like it was running again. A rack of flashlights hung from the wall. One of them was missing. Wait a minute. They were exactly the same as the flashlight I was carrying. I turned my over and looked at the bottom. Judging by the label, it definitely could have come from that rack. My foot hit the ground as I exited the factory and I almost slipped in the muck. It sent a jolt up my leg and the pain made my eyes water. In the dim light, I could see a darkened path before me. I didn't recognize it, but I hoped it led somewhere closer to town. I wanted to get away from that dead guard. Maybe whoever killed him was still around. Just imagining that made my back tingle, like someone was standing right behind me. Who had gone through those lockers? What was anybody at all doing in the old plant? Maybe, I thought, Norman would have an idea. His store wasn't far down from the main road. I'd traveled long enough by myself. It was time I found some help. It locked behind me. That's a truck. The pickup had smashed into the guardrail and stood silent. Was this the truck those newspaper clippings mentioned? Was there really a body found here? I looked closer at the tailgate and could see a series of dried streaks down its back. Inside the truck was dry blood and broken glass. I was surprised this hasn't been towed away yet. The garbage bin was a disgusting mess of rotten food and slick black bags. I saw a thin greenish corner poking out from one of those bags. It was my driver's license. It looked damaged. Did I take it back? Yes. I cleaned the card off as best I could. It looked pretty beat up. I was amazed to have found my credit card, and now this. I took the card into my wallet next to my credit card. Did somebody steal this from me? I wonder why they would have stashed it here. It sounded like it was going to start raining again. Great. I'd entered Norman's place. This was the back of the store that he ran. It was oddly quiet except for the faint sound of the television. Upstairs first. That's footsteps and blood. Okay, I don't want to go that way just yet. What the hell? One of Rachel's old autumn coats hung on the rack. That was Norma's bedroom, wasn't it? What was this doing there? Inside the cabinet was a small but impressive collection of hunting rifles, shotguns, and even a few items I didn't even think were legal here. One of the slots in the rack was empty. The gun I had found seemed to match the others there. If the handgun was Norman's, what the hell was he doing with it? The gun would fit there. Did I place it back in the cabinet? Yeah. I carefully pushed the piece back into place, and it felt like a great burden lifted. Norman, what were you doing with all these? A speck of something dark and wet stained one of the sleeves. Guess we gotta go to the bloody room. Jesus, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Norman, my coworker, and one of the few friends I had in this town, lay dead beside his armchair. His face and shirt covered in blood. It looked like he'd been shot trying to get up. His eyes were wide with shock, though they were already drying. Norman, what was Rachel doing here, and why did you have her coat? Norman, maybe you deserved better. You probably did. Did I close his eyes? I closed his eyelids down, shuddering as I did so. I wasn't sure if wanted to give him peace, or if I just couldn't stand to think anymore about what was going on. I hope to hell Rachel had nothing to do with that mess. I'd never been to Norman's place before. At least I didn't remember ever doing so. And it repeats. The kitchen trash bin smelled fresh. I didn't dig through that mess, did I? Yes, you did. I found a hairpin amongst the rotting food and trash and pocketed it. There were takeout containers and food scraps. Looked like Norman was eating for two. TV still flickers some and just cycles over channel. I couldn't make out what was on the screen, but that glow just gave me the chills. What was this? It looked like a pull chain hanging from the ceiling. I wondered where it led. Did I pull the chain? Yes. I gave the chain a single tug and simple floating ladder to the attic popped down. Let's check it out. That's the way down. There was a large cardboard box that hadn't been sealed. Did I open it? Yes. I opened to the old cardboard box and wasn't even entirely surprised by what I saw. There were more of Rachel's things, more of my wife's clothes. Photos, shoes, even that old radio I gave her. Why, Rachel? What are you doing here with Norman? I just couldn't believe it. My head ached with everything that was running through it. Tucked against the wall were an old sleeping bag and a portable camping stove. The sleeping bag smelled earthy. Had it been used recently? Norman, were you in those woods? The camping stove looked newer and had a relatively fresh fuel canister locked in place. That didn't seem too safe. Go ahead and go. I used the hairpin to pick the lock. The hairpin snapped in half, so I threw it away. The general store was small, but it was clean. It had the usual things: postcards, snacks, magazines, and canned goods. I never went there much. Rachel usually stopped by after work if we needed anything. The register was mostly empty, and a fat stack of travel magazines sat beside it. I wonder if someone had robbed the place before killing Norman upstairs. The icebox seemed to be unplugged. It must have been off for a while. Most of its contents were half melted. What was the matter, Norman? Cheated on your hydro bills too? There were various postcards from the area, especially from the tourist trap. One of the postcards showed an old black and white photo of the water tower. It looked to be in much better shape then. Of all the postcards, that one seemed to be the most popular. There are only a few left. It had been weeks since I've last seen Norman, and finding him that way still left me cold. Thinking of him slumped against that chair only cemented my reassurance in getting rid of that gun. It looked like someone had taken that piece from his store, but why was it in those tunnels? As I stepped outside, I recalled that dusty old box of clothes in Norman's attic. I felt like I had only discovered more questions, no answers, but I was close to home. It was time to find out the truth. It was locked. It wasn't the right gate. Actually, let's go ahead and go all the way down and then check out the gates. Because I can't go all the way down. I had the wrong gate. This one was locked. Gate was locked tight. This wasn't my house. Guess this one is. Lots of people throwing away TVs. The neighborhood's local post box. A letter was sticking out of it, as if someone hadn't pushed it in all the way. I knew it wasn't right, but did I take a look at the letter? The envelope was addressed to Norman. There was no return address, but the handwriting looked familiar. I took a deep breath and tore open the package. The letter read, Norman, I'm sending this to you in a letter because I'm afraid to tell you this in person. What we did, well, it was wrong. My husband isn't an easy man to be with, but he is my husband and your friend. I need some time to sort this out away from you both. I'm going away for a while. I'm going to tell him, Norman, so don't you think you can hold that against me. I'm going to tell him and get past this. Maybe we'll work it out. I'm not sure I even want to. But he deserves at least that much. Goodbye. Might as well keep moving. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm assuming the one with the blood is mine. I had entered our backyard. The rain gave me a terrible sense of foreboding, and it showed me through my clothes. I was expectant, but also afraid. More blood. I held my breath as I approached our back door. I was terrified to step inside. The house was painfully quiet. The only sound was my own breathing, ragged and strained. Water break. So much talking. I flipped the light switch by the door. The power was off. The table was clean. It hadn't been used any time recently. It repeats. Basement. There was a small pile of mail on the floor in front of the mail slot. How long had I been away? Why hadn't Rachel picked this up? Most of the contents were bills. There was a credit card bill there. Did I open it? I ripped the bill open and read it. To my surprise, it said something about canceling my credit card due to non-payment. What the hell? Let's go upstairs. Everybody got 3-floor buildings? I wish I had a 3-floor house. An old photo of Rachel and me stared back at me, reminding me of better times. It didn't make me feel terribly comfortable. Did I keep it anyways? Yeah. I replaced the photo in my wallet, feeling like I had gotten part of my life back. Still, the image made me uneasy. Why had I thrown it away? Our television. I had purchased it before I knew I was going to lose my job. I felt pretty guilty about it afterward, but by then it was too late. Rachel was pretty angry about that, I realized. That's probably why everyone's throwing away their TVs. They're buying brand new flat screens. Let's finish checking out this floor. The door was stuck. There was an old-fashioned keyhole underneath the handle. I need a key first. The books there were half mine, half Rachel's. Hey, now that I look closely, it looked like that man in the house had some of the same books as I did. One book in particular seemed a bit odd. I remembered owning it, but not that edition. My wife's, Rachel's suitcase was sitting on the bed. It was closed, but I had a feeling what was in it. Did I open it? Yeah. Inside Rachel's suitcase was a few days' worth of clothes, some personal effects, and a train ticket. As I stared at the ticket, I could feel myself flush with anger and resentment. The date and time matched the receipt I had found. Rachel, why? Why were you going to run away with Norman? Was I really such a monster? Our hallway mirror had been smashed. Its pieces scattered around the floor. I couldn't really make myself out anymore. I wasn't sure I wanted to. My laptop had been left on and only had a tiny bit of power left. On the screen was a website about the old water tower. There was a key on top of the drawer. Did I take it? Yes. I pocketed the key. The laptop was warm and it had been running for a while. How long was I gone?